Well, welcome to Book World: The Great Escape. I'm author CJ Peterson. My co-host over here is author Michael Scott Clifton. Today we have an amazing guest joining us. We have the incredible Jinx Swartz, who's a USA Today best-selling author. So we'll get to her in just a minute. Mike, how was your weekend? I know you had a couple shows, didn't you?
Yep. Yeah. We were in Abilene. My son lives in Abilene, so kind of killed two birds with one stone, so to speak. But the Abilene Comic Con was this past weekend on Saturday and Sunday. So Melanie and I were there, and we had a pretty good time. Had a pretty good turnout. Sold a lot of books, and got to meet hopefully maybe some potential authors, that we'll be having on the book world in the not too distant future. Anyway, it was a great experience. Takes us about 5 hours to drive there from Mount Pleasant, where we live. But having a son that lives in Abilene is definitely a plus. And then last night, we were at the Longview Art Walk in the historic downtown area of Longview. And that is, we did pretty good. Got Patty Wiseman was, table next to us. So, some fellow authors that were there as well. And it was the weather was perfect for a change.
Nice.
And so that was our last book event for the year. And coming so close on the heels of Abilene Comic Con, we are kind of road weary. So we're glad, to put that behind us. I would like to say that tonight at 6:00 Central Standard Time, will be on the Meet the Author podcast, Carter Novels, and we're going to be talking about my newest book, Pringle Prawn. Looking forward to that. And also, I've got a real good book promo going today, tomorrow, and Friday, and it's for Pringle Prawn, which again is my latest book. And right now, if you go to the Free Booksy website, you can actually get a free ebook copy of Pringle Prawn. And tomorrow it'll be on Hello Books. And on Friday, it'll be promoted by the eReader News. I've used eReader on a number of occasions. It's a great promo site for authors for book promos. So looking forward to that. And then pretty much we're resting until next year. So,
there you go.
And so that's a good way to end the school year. I mean, the school year. I'm thinking I was there for 38 years. So that's a good way to end the book year, author year. So it's been good, but the old say, I'm glad that the journey was great, but I'm glad it's over.
There you go. Well, speaking of journeys, we are still uncovering our house in OKC. So that's a lot of work. I've also got knee issues, so I may have to have knee surgery. So hoping that doesn't happen because I start school in January. So yeah, lots of fun things going on. Other than that, it's kind of pretty much just been central. Like I said, trying to unbury from the one house to this house and getting settled in and stuff. My room is done finally. I have an office so I can breathe. I know where everything is now. Well, most of it. I know if it's not here, it's in a box. It's in the garage. So that's at least, it's not like within 3 storage sheds anymore. So that's a plus. So things I'm finding are great. Let's see. I don't have anything upcoming except for Magic Making Mischief stuff going on over in the other podcast. I'm super excited to get to talk to Rob and Joan tonight. Absolutely love them. I actually cannot watch because I have physical therapy tonight for my knee at that time. But I will watch afterwards. So make sure you guys are watching live because you could talk to Mike during that time. So speaking of Rob and Joan's podcast, I do believe Jinx was on it either last week or the week before. And she was also on my Shelf Life blog yesterday because she has a book coming out for the Magnolia Bluff series. And we'll get to that in a second. First, we want to talk to you, Ms. Swartz, regarding Hetta Coffee. So welcome.
Well, hi. Hi.
So you have a lot going on, too. You have the Hetta Coffee series, which is 16 books now? 12?
15.
6. Okay. I knew it was somewhere in there because I have all of them. I just haven't had a chance to read them yet. So 15 books. Can you tell people who don't know, who is Hetta Coffee and what is it about?
Well, Hetta Coffee is a woman with well, I always put it this way. She's a sassy Texan with a snazzy yacht, and she's not afraid to use it.
Gotcha. So a little bit of the sassiness, I'd imagine, comes from the author as well, who is also probably a bit of a sassy Texan.
Well, yeah, because Hetta's on a boat most of the time in Mexico, and my husband and I spent almost 30 years on our boat down in the Sea of Cortez, so I had a lot of material to draw from.
And probably lots of stories. So it's kind of, can you explain to people, I remember it's kind of like a detective type mystery type
It's
stuff?
humorous mystery.
It's what?
It's humorous mystery.
Humorous mystery.
Yeah, it's and the other series I'm doing, I'm calling it well, it's humorous mystery, but it's also a little bit of just plain old slapstick sometimes. But I'll explain when I get to the series. They're two different series.
Mm-hmm.
And Hetta Coffee is 15 in that series. And I just got through finishing and putting out it'll be coming out December 20th. My second in the Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles. It's a mouthful. So, and there's a crossover.
Oh, does Hetta come to Magnolia?
Well, kind of. Hetta has been in the Magnolia Bluff from the beginning, just a brief mention here and there. But her cousin is Blue, my character, my protagonist. And so now I've got Blue and Hetta intertwined in both series.
Nice. That's pretty cool. So what makes your mysteries different than other people's? Than the other kind of, what makes it stand out in the mystery genres?
Well, it's kind of a cross between an action and a cozy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes it gets very action. The Hetta Coffee series.
Uh-huh.
The Blue series is more cozy.
Gotcha.
Because Magnolia Bluff, as you know, is a small town in central Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And
hi, Mommy.
I, as far as I know, when they started it up, they actually are using Burnett, Texas, as kind of a guide about what's around and everything. And that happens to be my stomping ground. So I jumped on it. A piece of cake for me.
So how did you happen to come to be on the Magnolia Chronicles series?
Caleb Purtle contacted me and asked me if Caleb.
Okay, Caleb did. Okay.
Yeah. Bless his heart. We miss him.
Yeah.
But anyway, he contacted me, asked if I wanted to contribute a book to the series. I said, "Oh, why not?" So I did, and now I'm in there every year.
Nice.
So how did you prepare for that? I mean, did you have to read all of the previous books? Did you just get a synopsis or summary, or how did that work?
Well, see, I'm lucky. I'm in December, so I'm the last one each year. So I can read all the previous books and look out that I don't step on someone's toes. We're free to use other characters. They're free to use mine. Just don't off them. That's a no. And we've had one case where somebody put out she had a book coming out, and another author had his book out, and she was reading it and going, "Oh no!" So she sent him an email and said, "You killed my character."
Oh no!
So now we have an agreement. Whenever we put out a book, well, everybody we're more organized now, and everyone reads the other ones, and then if we let anybody know who we're offing or who's.
Because somebody dies in each one, right?
We don't want to off somebody that somebody's got a whole book prepared for.
I mean, the basic premise, if I remember correctly, is this Magnolia Bluff series. Somebody dies on this magical date, I think in May.
Well, let's pass that now. It's like,
now everybody's just dying in a
oh
box.
yeah, there. For even for Texas, it's got a very high murder rate.
I'm surprised people haven't moved out. I'm just saying. After the first film, I think I would have done it, but that's me.
Yeah.
Really
Well,
quick, Bobby Rella says hi, and Mary Lou Henson says hi. Jinx, missing hanging out with you. Happy.
well,
holidays.
hi.
Beauty of live, gotta love it. So, how does it kind of compare what you've done in Magnolia Bluff to Hetta Coffee?
Well, Hetta Coffee they're different. Well, they're both Texans, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have a lot in common, and their mothers are sisters. So they had completely different backgrounds in a way. But for instance, when Hetta was in Paris, she visited her cousin Blue, who was going to school there,
Mm-hmm.
and they had times together. And then out at the grandmother's house in Magnolia Bluff, which Blue has now renovated and is living in. So there's a lot of family ties there. And Blue finds herself, well, she's a widow. She lost her husband. She's at total loggerheads. He was too young. She was too young. She was still in her 30s. And she was a widow and just taken by storm. Well, I've lived through it, so I know. Your whole life completely changes in one day. And so I took some of my problem, as when my husband died, and I kind of wrote it in, about the way people react and what they do. And what worked for me was staying really busy, and that's what Blues does. She throws herself into renovating the house, then she goes back to painting and that sort of thing. So she's built her life, and now she's the last Hetta Coffee book, which just came out in August. What was it? I'll think of it in a minute. I lose my titles all the time. I've got 20.
I think I've got it. Just a second. Yeah. I'm looking.
Just like that. Yeah, it's just like that.
Okay.
And Blue is visiting Hetta in that one. So you can see that they're becoming intertwined, and it's kind of fun to do that because they're different personalities, but they also are cousins. And if you've had a lot of cousins, you know how we are. We can not see each other for 10 years, and then it's old home week again. It's just like there was no time has lapsed.
So how long?
Hold on. CW says we're starting to have bursts in Magnolia Bluff. So I'm assuming that's to repopulate Magnolia Bluff so they can be killed off later.
Well, is that CW? CW.
Monvirella says, interesting that you share these characters for different stories, but I think I would be upset if my character was killed off too.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you're repopulating Magnolia Bluff. You kill them later.
Well, I'm not, but others are.
Somebody murders you. You have nobody left unless you repopulate. Yeah, that's.
I got to get our group to count the murders so we can get a count on it.
I'm
kind of hard to keep up.
How many are gone? It's kind of like watching Stranger Things. It's like you're counting people dying. It's like, why did these people not move?
Well, because we're Texans.
Yeah.
Well, I understand standing against a hurricane, but if somebody's out, a lot of people, and apparently y'all are killing yourselves, that you might want to get out of the town.
Well, so far we managed to protect our people.
Just everybody else that's at risk. Yeah.
Yeah, they shouldn't be.
So it sounds like fun. Like I said, I've got them all, so I'm hoping over Christmas to read. I've read a couple of them. I read Caleb's first and CW's first. Yeah. So I'm hoping to kind of keep going with the series and finish it off. Monvirella says the Vampire Diaries is the same way. How did they notice? How did they know? People are dying everywhere.
Yeah. Well,
I remember when CW came up with the idea, and I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, how long have you been writing, Jinx? What's how? I mean, is it something that you've always wanted to do, or is
Oh
it?
no, no, not at all. Oh yeah. No, I traveled to work, and I was in the engineering construction field, traveled all over the
Oh, wow.
world, didn't have time for any of that. And never even thought about it, but I've always been a voracious reader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I remember living in Haiti when I was a kid, and we didn't have radio, TV, anything. I would read anything I could get my hands on. And once I read Lady Chatterley's Lover and had absolutely no idea what it was about. But what do you do when you're 10? But I
Right.
would get books from anybody I could.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandfather, step grandfather, would go to the States, and then he would come back and bring me a huge pile every year of comic books, and I would sit there and read them. And my parents gave me a hard time because I didn't want to be bothered when I was reading.
Mm-hmm.
They'd ask me to do something, and I'm like, okay.
I'll get to it after I'm done with this chapter.
Well, anyway, after my husband and I got married, when he got married, I was 45. We quit our jobs, took my boat. He sold his, and we went out the Golden Gate Bridge and turned left. And we were going to go to Cabo San Lucas for 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
which is 1,000 miles in the Pacific Ocean getting down there. And we got to Cabo, and we're sitting there one day, and we decided Cabo was ruined. So we decided to go around the end of the peninsula and get into the Sea of Cortez, and we fell in love with it. So 30 years later, we were still there.
Hmm.
So
And
how did you do that?
how did we do that?
I mean, did you need isn't there like a time extension that you're only allowed to be in a certain country
6
for
months. 6 months.
Right.
But we didn't want to stay in the summers anyway. It's too hot.
Okay, so you were
So
kind
we would leave our boat down there, and then we would come back to the States. And the first year we came back to Texas to visit my dad. And I had a cousin there who belongs to the Daughters of the Republic of Texas. And she insisted I get interested in it. I didn't have anything else to do all summer. So she gave me all these family charts and stuff. And I had some kind of idea. I remember when I was a kid, people saying, "Oh, you're one of the old families." I just thought they were talking about my grandmother. But, and then, I got interested in this, but there were so many listed and their lives and boxes of stuff. I took it all back to the boat in the Sea of Cortez, and I spent the winter going through the boxes and finding out all of these things. I couldn't get the family members all straight in my mind, so I drew a chart, genealogy chart, and I started with one family that I thought was very interesting. They came to Texas in 1806 when it was still under Spain. And I thought that 1806, they were only the second non-Hispanic family in the territory at that time.
So that you were old school family.
Well, yeah. I mean, yes, we were there before everybody, just about. People talk about the Stephen F. Austin colony. Don't push. We were already here. But anyway,
that's old news.
yeah. But it was a very interesting family, and I wrote a book about it called The Texicans, and that was my very first book.
Wow.
And I did it out of curiosity and trying to tell a story. That was the only thing I planned to do. And then my husband says, "James, you ought to write a book about this couple who comes down the Sea of Cortez." I said, and gets in trouble with the cartels. And I went, okay. So I wrote Trouble Sea. And then I decided to write something a little different, and I wrote a semi-autobiographical, highly fictionized version of my childhood in Haiti. And it's called Land of Mountains. And then I just kind of went from then. Then I wrote the first Hetta Coffee, thinking it was a standalone.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing I know, I'm, 20 years and 15 books into it. So
There you go. Mary Lou Henson that says that she loves the Texicans.
oh, goody. Thank you, Mary Lou.
So, well, cool. So now you're 15 books in. Is there more for Hetta coming up?
Absolutely. I have some readers that would kill me if I'm going to have to die at the computer. It's that simple.
Well, I know it's fun. Like I call it the Team Angel series because it's like multiple series where characters cross over. And it was like 10 years. And I kind of didn't want it to end. My readers really loved them, but it's just like, after a while you kind of run out of stories. But
that's kind of where I was at when I decided to do the crossover.
Uh-huh.
And so now, I'm not going to give anything away about the book, but with Blue involved, they're having their own adventures. And so what I do is now with the Magnolia Bluff series, I draw characters from other people and write a book set in that town with Blue and her friends. And it's nice to have that crossover going because now I can take Blue down to the sea to be with Hetta back and forth. And Hetta comes to her place and gets involved in what's going on there, including a murder. So, it's a fun thing. These women are not to be messed with.
Well, first of all, they're Texans. Second of all,
yeah,
apparently they're a little feisty.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to write a book? So I'm sure well, like if you're doing a second series now with Magnolia Bluff, are you having to compact things a little more tightly now, or you follow the same schedule, or what?
I didn't need a life anyway, what I did, I'm going to take a sip of coffee. I was getting kind of burned down on Hetta. It was hard to come up with something new and fresh every time.
Sure.
And I did, and I have a lot of characters in that series that I can keep drawing on. And I do. I'll bring in somebody I haven't had in there for a while and blah, blah, blah. And the same thing we can do, with this Magnolia Bluff group. We can play on other people's stories, pick them up, embellish on them, whatever. And I think we've gotten our feet under us now on the Magnolia Bluff. It is going so much smoother. CW is the jewel. CW Hawes. He tries to keep us somehow rounded up. I don't know how well he can. But, of course, we lost Caleb, which is very sad. And then I heard you say Carter, the Carter books. Was that our group too?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay.
Carter have another one coming up.
Right.
Yeah. So now I do 2 books a year. And boy, I'll tell you, I'm behind the 8 ball on that one because, you know how it is. I'm a one-woman show. When my husband was alive, he did a lot of stuff for me, and now it's just me. And so I can't rely on anyone to help me out on any of the technical or anything. So I'm having to learn as I go. I guess we all do.
Right.
But it takes time. And my friends sometimes think I'm some kind of weirdo hermit because I'll sit in my RV for a week and never come out. But that's why pardon me. I was going to say that's why I travel with friends when I travel in the RV, because they have something like every day, like a happy hour at 4.
Mhm.
And it's time for me to pull the plug and go out and join them, and that helps. Otherwise, I'd just sit here.
Have you thought about moving on to a different set of characters altogether, or are you just planning on staying in the niche of Hetta and Blue?
I'm a seat of the pantser. I'm a pantser. So something will come to me,
Mhm.
and then I might start off with another one.
There you
But
go.
right now, I'm going to work with this one.
Wow.
I don't know if you're familiar with Wayne Stinnett or not, but
Mhm.
he did that, and he's he's doing very well on his sales and everything. So, but then he's got a built-in military clientele.
Mhm.
They sell his books in commissaries and stuff. So,
Oh, wow.
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But I noticed he's more and more doing the crossovers, and it's I asked him one day if he had a life, and he said no. So, I said, when do you sleep?
What is this sleep you speak of?
Yeah, what is it?
Well, I'm good for about a book a year, and so having to shift gears to go from 1 to 2,
Mhm.
I can see how that would really be an adjustment. Now, CJ on the other hand, she can she moves at a much faster speed, and so I don't know that would pose much of a problem for her. But I was a little curious because, like I said, I figured from the conversation you're probably about a book a year. Now you're going to have to do 2.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
right.
And I just have to do it, and I have to get adjusted to that schedule.
Mhm.
And so I will have to immediately start writing my next book while I'm down in Mexico for Christmas.
There you go. Well, I know what I do is I tend to finish the entire series. One year I did actually write 5. That's the most I wrote in 1 year.
Mm.
It was the whole Grace Restored series.
I have no idea how you do that.
I wrote them and published them all within a year.
Oh,
That was fun. Do not recommend 100, 10 out of 10 don't recommend that. It's hectic. But I tend to now write whatever, like if I'm doing a trilogy, I write the whole trilogy and then I send it through the editor and I publish them like within a few months of each other, which my readers tend to appreciate because I leave cliffhangers.
It's something I do not do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But
Well, you can get away with that if you're writing a fast series where
right.
they can get another one. But nothing I hate more than to read a book and get to the end of it and there's no sequel and I got a cliffhanger on my hands.
Yes.
My readers know that it will be within a few months. It's coming out.
Well, that's fine. But
Yeah.
when I was on the boat in Mexico, we didn't have ebooks or anything, and we would go into a marina and get a lot of books and take on the boat and read while we were out. And I'd get one of those. Now I can't get the sequel. I'm in the middle of the ocean, and so and then the other thing that annoyed me, which what I'm careful not to do, is I number my books because I remember looking into the forward part to see when it was copyrighted in order to keep the stories in sync.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so I said,
we're on the spine. Yep.
right on I want book number 1 on my books.
And I make sure that it's in the title as well, that it's book 1 of whatever series.
Yeah, mine is in the title on my Hetta Coffee series. The Magnolia Bluff thing gets a little more complicated because I just wrote number 20 in the series, but it was only my second book in the series. So it's kind of, it gets a little convoluted keeping up with that.
Sure. Right. Well, I do know that your Magnolia Bluff series book is coming out in December.
Yes.
December 20th. 20th. Okay, December 20th. It is currently on pre-order for 99 cents. I got mine. Make sure to get yours.
Mine's not 99 cents right now.
Oh no. What is it?
It's $4.99. I can't figure out how to get away with 99 on my. I haven't quite figured it out, but I'm going to do what I'm doing is to my fellow authors that want to read it. I send them a copy of my manuscript.
Got it.
They can read for free.
Well, I got it for $4.99. So whatever the
Oh, $4.99, right?
$4.99, $3.99. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Basically, what I do is when I know that they're coming out, I grab them then.
Yeah.
Then I don't lose the order that you're talking about because they come in at the same order.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
Well, we're
Yeah.
currently over time, but make sure to get her new book coming out. When's the next Hetta Coffee book coming out?
I don't know, but hopefully in August. But Texas Summers Are Murder is my latest in the Magnolia Bluff series.
Good title. Good title.
Excited. If you need a sneak peek and to find out what it's about, you can head over to the Shelf Life blog on cjpetersonwrites.com because I just posted that yesterday. So make sure to check that out as well.
I haven't seen it yet.
Mike, make sure to watch him tonight at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Robin Jones.
Meet the Author podcast.
Meet the Authors. I get them mixed up with the Fresh Ink guys.
Yeah.
So make sure to watch him tonight, and we'll catch you guys next week. We're going to be talking about dialogue tags. So we'll see you guys next week. Same time, same box. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.